Hi, this is Barbara Wainwright from Wainwright Global Institute of Professional Coaching, and I'm here with PERCELL St. Thomas, and delighted to be here and introduce him and have a moment to chat and find out a little bit more about PERCELL. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Barbara. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So PERCELL, what made you decide to become a certified professional coach?
Barbara, that's people ask me that a lot, and I say to everyone, I didn't choose it; it chose me.
No.
I don't know. I've had from birth this feeling that I was born in the wrong time, or just somehow slightly different from most persons. I think differently. I see things differently. So I've always, ever since I was a child, been interested in what makes people do what they do, or think what they think, or act the way they act, and so I think it was inevitable. I had to do it, and so in doing that, of course, one thing led to another, and I started studying the mind and the different aspects of the mind, which totally fascinated me. And then as I applied that to other persons, of course, they would start asking me questions. Well, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And of course, my first answer was, well, for crying out loud, I'm only 5. Don't you know the answer to these questions? so, so as I became older, though, I got a little more into it, and just found it fascinating to help persons to learn how to understand and live life.
That's beautiful. That's really a beautiful thing. So can you tell me a little about the genre of coaching that you're in and what drew you to that genre?
Well, and like I said, I started off studying the mind itself, and again, what makes persons tick, and what makes them do what they do or think the way they think, and exactly how does the mind work? What is it? You ask someone. I like to ask persons, "Well, where is it?" And they always say, "Well, what do you mean, where is it?" Well, it's here. And I said, "No, that's your head." And this, well, it's inside. And well, no, that's your brain. So where exactly is the mind? And when you tell me you have a good mind to do this, or you've changed your mind, exactly what does that mean? And as I got more into that, I found it fascinating to teach people how to use their minds and their brains. And then, Barbara, I was brought up in a fairly religious family,
Mm-hmm.
but all of my life studying religion, and I hope I'm not offending anyone, but I always felt like something was missing. And as I became older and studied more and more of the mind and the intellect and this uh, aspect of ourselves, I learned that what's missing in religion, most religion, is spirituality. And as I studied more and more spirituality and theology, then everything started to make sense. Things, like I said earlier, that I've known since I was a child, just didn't quite know how to express, or whatever, began to make sense. So then my studies, my psychology studies, took the direction of spiritual wellness, and here I am.
Nice. I love that. Spiritual wellness is a great phrase. I love that because, and I agree with you about religion and spirituality. It does seem like religion seems to be a little bit more about kind of routines or rituals, or sayings and slogans, but it doesn't seem to really encompass the essence of a person's being. And so,
Exactly.
yeah. So I love that you kind of kind of combined and took the best of religion, it sounds like, and the best of your spiritual studies, and I just want to say, I love your energy, and I love your energy, and I know that that's because of your spiritual presence, you know? So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for being who you are and for having all your experiences that you had that brought you to be who you are now, and your great contribution to the book. I appreciate that too. So, do you have a story that you'd like to share about a client or coaching and how that's impacted your life or their life?
I don't know. I've been thinking about this ever since you guys proposed this to me, and my stories, Barbara, are so I don't know. They seem vague or far-fetched, or they don't really make much sense on the outside, or the first time persons hear them. And then when they come back again later, they say, "Oh, I was thinking about that thing you said," and it just made so much sense. I can share one, and it's kind of interesting because another thing that I do outside of psychology is I teach dance. Actually, ballroom,
That's
ballroom and Latin dancing. I'm a internationally certified adjudicator and coach in that genre.
nice.
And I was at a conference in Los Angeles several years ago, and the organizer of the conference introduced me to the group, which were all teachers,
Oh, wow.
and I said, "Well, good evening. Thank you for having me. It's so nice to see so many of you here. It's a shame that 80% of you will dance the rest of your lives and never once know what it feels like." And and we went through my little 12-minute, 15-minute dissertation. And of course, by the end of that, they understood what I meant. That dance is not steps or movements or techniques out of a book or a syllabus. That it's a feeling. It's something that we are, not something that we do. And as I was speaking to them, I was thinking, kind of funny, more about my psychology practice than my dance teaching, because as I was telling them this about approaching dance from a more I don't want to say spiritual feeling, but a more feeling rather than thinking.
Yes.
It helped me to understand what I was teaching in my psychology practice, because even though a lot of the psychology deals with, or my psychology deals with the mind, the difference between subconscious, conscious, and superconscious,
Nice.
that even though all of that is thinking and not thinking and learning how to combine those and make them work in this life of ours, that even that is feeling,
Yes.
and even that is sensuality and spirituality, if you will. And so it was kind of funny, at the end of that little talk, the organizer came up to me and said, I have an idea for you. He says, your talk was great and everyone seemed to like it at the end, but the next time you give it, why don't we change the name of it to How to Piss Off Your Audience in 10 Seconds or Less?
Wow.
because they didn't like my opening statement at all,
Yeah.
um, about not being able to feel, but they understood at the end. And so much of who we are and what we do in life, Barbara, is a lot like those dance students. Um, we go through life thinking so hard about what we need to do, what we should do, how we should do it, and what's right and what's wrong, that we lose sight of who we are, and not only who we are as individuals, but who we are as beings in life. How is it that we connect with the rest of the world? How is it that we connect with life in general? And I have found in my practice that when persons come to me and they're unhappy about one thing or another, it's usually not what they think it is. It's usually something inside, a disconnect that they're just not feeling. You know, I do a lot with the law of attraction,
Oh, no.
which I know you're very familiar with.
Yeah.
And and one of the things that I like to say to persons a lot, and it sounds a little salesy and we giggle about it, but I like to say that I begin where the law of attraction ends, because so many persons study the law of attraction and they stop at that point or that place where we say what you put out is what you attract back. And and I try to get persons to realize that that is just the beginning, that the law of attraction is a whole life encompassing thing. It is not what you put out that you get back. It is the very essence of who you are that is what you get back. And so in my studies, I try to help persons discover that.
Nice. That's great. You know, I think you're right. The law of attraction kind of stops at one point, and if you don't actually take steps, once you've decided, getting the clarity, I think law of attraction is partly getting clarity on what it is that you want to accomplish. But then you can't stop there, or if you do, you might end up with staying right where you are, because you've got to take in
Right.
and do something with that. Now you've got the clarity. Now you know what it is that you want. There's another step. It's like starting to take action, right? And
Yes.
taking the action in the direction that you want to go, and what you want to accomplish, what you want to feel. But I love what you said about bringing the energy of who you are into all that you do. And I say the energy of who you are, and am going to say your spiritual essence. When you bring in your
Yes.
spiritual essence, and I love that you're talking about bringing it into dance, because you can feel the energy just flow through you. That's when you're feeling, and you're right. It's not just about steps. It's about allowing that energy to come through you and just move your body, right?
Yes. Exactly. And it's just one way of getting persons outside of themselves, you know.
I love that. I love that. So do you combine your psychology and your dance together to help people really to do that?
Always. Always.
Brilliant.
Yes.
That's really
Yes.
brilliant, because you're really helping them to integrate what it is. So if they're hearing things and they're getting new information, you're helping them to physically integrate it into their being, instead of it's not just a bunch of words and not just a bunch of talk. It's like, no, here's how we make that integrate into what you're doing and how you're flowing in life. I love it.
Absolutely.
It's excellent.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing. So Purcell, I would love to know if you have something that you would like to share, a takeaway with the audience something that they can remember you by and hold on to going forward?
You know, I grew up in Paris, France, and New York City,
Wow.
and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And in my adult life, my job took me from New York to Los Angeles. Um, Basically, what I'm saying is, I I was a city person,
Mm, okay.
and midlife, I had the opportunity to go to Maui, Hawaii, on a 2-week vacation. I telephoned home and said, "Send my stuff. I'm done. I, I'm not coming back." I said, um, and it was a revelation to me. The whole thing was I learned, I stepped off the plane, Barbara, and I broke out in tears. And the woman whom I was with grabbed me by the arm. She said, "What's the matter with you?" And that was the first time that I even realized that the water was pouring down my face. And I said, "Oh, I don't know. It's something in the air." Well, the next day, the same thing happened. And to make the story short, I learned something very important about myself. I learned that even though I was, or still am, basically a city person, I'm a beach spirit.
Mm.
My connection to life and to the world is the beach. I don't have to be in the water. I don't have to be on the beach. When I'm in Hawaii, I rarely go to the beach. But as long as I can see it, as long as I can see the beach,
Yeah.
I am peaceful inside. My soul is happy. My heart is happy. And if I were to leave something with the viewers, it would be this: do not be confused with your role in life, or your role in the world, and your role in life. It's we are multidimensional beings.
We are.
We are husband, we are wife, we are factory worker, we are airline pilot, we are whatever we are for a few hours, and then we are something else. We are caretaker to the children, or we are um, shopper, or nurturer in the grocery store. So we keep changing these hats, and as often as we change hats, we change our rules.
Mm.
We abide by all of these rules. We have to drive on a certain side of the street, and we drive a certain way, and then when we get to the store, we act in a certain manner, and we have all of these things that we have to do, and we grow up thinking that we are this or these things. It's an astounding revelation, not only to me but to many of my clients, when they realize the difference between who they are in the world and who they are in spirit.
Yes. Yes.
And it was a revelation to me that I am a city person. I love the hustle and bustle and the get out there and the let's go here and the let's go there. And I speak 5 languages and I love to do them all. I just want to go and do this stuff. But I am at peace when I am saying absolutely nothing, just sitting at a beach and watching the sunset. That is my connection to life. That is my connection to the rest of the world. And if I could just urge persons to take a moment in their lives every day and try to find that,
I,
that is a good start to being happy in life.
I so agree. And it's so interesting what you shared about Hawaii. That when I got to Hawaii the first time, I was like, felt the same way. How do I stay here? How can I support myself here? I do not want to go back. I didn't want to leave. It's so, I felt so at home. And it was
Yes.
like my heart was exploding with joy being there. I just loved it.
Yes.
And yeah, so I can so relate to what you're saying. And I happen to live very close to the beach as well. So there's a lot of synchronicity. No wonder I felt so connected with you. It's like the synchronicities are right there. I am right now staring out at water at the beach. And it's the same way for me too. That just lifts my soul and my being. Just seeing that, I feel so connected to earth and to the universe, to spirit. And it feeds my soul. So I
Absolutely.
totally understand what you're saying. Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today, Purcell. I really appreciate it.
Oh, Barbara, you have no idea. I am so grateful, and I don't mean to sound cheesy, because this is what I teach: the law of attraction, the law of gratitude, and
Yes.
the law of forgiveness.
Mm.
And when I say I'm so grateful, it's more than just thankful.
Mm.
It is, I am so grateful to have been blessed to be able to do what I do. I am so grateful to have found Barbara Wainwright and the Fowler Institute many years ago. And I am just so grateful to be a part of the book and whatever we have here going forward. I am just chomping at the bit to be an ongoing part of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. I want to say bye.
Okay, bye bye.